What's happening, guys? Top of the morning to you. Good morning, Cape Town. Good morning, South Africa. I'm super pumped for this morning, and I'm really excited for this new series that I'm going to get going on my channel. It is something I have been thinking about for a very long time. I started this line of videos back in 2020, car sessions. I've added a few videos, but for 2023 I am keen to do a constant flow of videos through car sessions. And just to give you guys some background, I am on my way to the office. I thought I would use this time productively and keep the conversation going. The conversation being promo branding and marketing, but more specifically, it's really generated for the entrepreneur and the guy who is running his own business and is hustling like myself. So I just want to keep the conversation going and speak about all these ins and outs of running a business and keeping your head above the water with the economy that we have at the moment. As a small business and as sort of your micro enterprise businesses, small businesses, guys are really finding it difficult nowadays to get through these times here in South Africa, but we've got to keep our heads up, keep positive, and keep motivated to just sustain our businesses any way possible. So I really just want to keep this conversation going and just talk more about entrepreneurship on this feed. So my thoughts on this series is really just to go through my own journey and my own story with you guys. And as we go along, as I talk about my journey with the business, we'll just hit on certain topics as I go along, because I've learned a lot and I'm still learning and I'm still growing. But I've learned a lot in these last 10 years. Yeah, been running the business for 10 years now. 2012, I started Blueprint Promotions, registered the PTY in 2013. So it really is a good full 10 years that I've been doing this business. I haven't always been solely doing Blueprint Promotions, and this will be one of the first topics that we can chat about, and that is side hustle. I didn't only solely do Blueprint Promotions in this 10 years. I also had a side hustle, which basically the side hustle became the main income at that time, and it was really a godsend, and it was such a good choice for me to do that and to take on the side hustle, because it really helped the business, it helped my life, and it sustained me for that area of time. So yeah, that would definitely be a topic of conversation, because I find that guys that do our type of line of business, whether it's clothing and headwear decoration, a small clothing label, that sort of thing, or starting a company like I run is a promotional company and is involved in supply of promotional clothing, headwear, gifting products for the corporates and small businesses. I think with all businesses, we all struggle to get our feet up and running, it's very little amount of people that are blessed with like a huge influx of funds to get a business started. So most people are starting with nothing like I did. I just had my knowledge of the trade at that time, and my passion and my drive to make this work. So that's all I had. I didn't have any money when I first started. When I was back in 2012 when I started, I think I literally had like over $1,000 in my bank account, which probably not the best idea to start a business with like $1,500, but that was literally what I was dealing with. I was also very young and naive, you know, to the whole situation of starting a business. So I really was just like going forward because I really didn't have much of a choice at that time. I had to pursue this idea and this passion to start a promotional company. And, you know, I've always loved, you know, clothing and branding and headwear branding. I was always very fascinated with that side of branding, screen printing, embroidery, vinyl printing. So I always knew it was something I was going to pursue, and I knew that was the time to push into it in 2012. So that's really the segue. I want to segue into my journey and my story with you guys today. These videos and this series, they're not gonna be too long. So I'll just cut off at a certain time, and then we'll carry on tomorrow morning. This will be an every morning situation while I drive into the office, and I use the time productively with you guys to keep the conversation going. So like I said, I started the business in 2012, but I want to pull back even further for you guys, just to give you a broader understanding of where I came from and you know, my journey, because it doesn't only start with when you start the business. These ideas that come into people's minds, and you know, people pursue business ventures. Most of the time it starts long before the actual venture starts. The idea and the thoughts, you know, and the passion to start a business doesn't only start when the business starts. It's you know, people have put in a lot of thought into it. Well, you should put a lot of thought into it before you actually start the business. So I'm going to pull back all the way to my after school days. I matriculated in 2001. I tried to do a bit of university, but it really didn't really work very well for me at the time. My mindset was just not in the books any longer, and I really just wanted to get out into the big world and get going and get working really. So I took somewhat of a gap year, and then I tried to do the uni stuff in 2003. But yeah, I didn't, like I said, it was just a year there, and I just knew this wasn't for me at the time. Before I go any further into that, you know, coming older into my life, you know, I've realized how important studying is and education. So I've taken on a lot of different types of learning academies through Udemy, and just broadening my education through different areas, not through a university. But if I look back now, I would have definitely, if I had the mindset I have now, I would have stuck it out and pushed through the BCom that I was doing at that time. But yeah, being a young kid, I would say a kid, you can say a kid at what, 20 or so, it just, yeah, my mindset was definitely a lot different then. So my old man, better known as my dad, he had a trims business here in Cape Town. He would distribute clothing trims to the clothing industry, and zips, threads, velcros, but mainly zips. He had a distribution business here, and he distributed for TWK zippers, and our little company was called Hot Straps. And so he had quite a good sort of small to medium sized business, and was doing very well. Did very well at the stage of the boom of the clothing trade here in Cape Town. Our trade, I would say, just Cape Town would be, at that stage, was the hub of the clothing trade in South Africa. So he was doing very well, distributing the zips and the other trims within the Western Cape area, not only Cape Town, but sort of the broader Western Cape. So I got stuck in there with him and his business around about, what was it, 2003, 2004, around about there. And I just got stuck in there, learning how to sell zips and learning how to sell product. That was one of the big takeaways that I had working with my dad and his business, was learning sales and learning how to sell, and just finding a passion inside of me that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed being out, being with people, and understanding business and understanding sales. And I did quite well there in that business for that time. It was really fun. It was really awesome. I started off in his stock rooms. When I first got there, he had 2 small stock rooms that were full of zips, and he wasn't very much of a computer guy, like I would say most guys at that time, who grew up, in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, where there wasn't computers. He's only now caught on in the last 10 or so years to computers, but at that time he really wasn't, like, that wasn't really his forte. And I just came into the business, and I literally counted every single zip in those 2 stock rooms, and I put everything onto a system, on their computer system there. And we started to use the zips in the stock rooms far better. So when the orders would come through, the order clerk at that time, he would check on the system that I'd created and check what zips were in stock, and would use the stock instead of ordering from the factory. So that was my first venture at Hot Straps, is setting up the stock rooms, which was very cool. It was about a year and a half or so that I was doing that, and then my dad put me into the sales, and got me into the lower end of the sales team, and slowly got me to get onto the road and do the sales. Because through that year and a half being in the stockroom, I learned all about zips. I was literally counting and measuring and doing everything that you would have to do to create a system that can work at the business, and a computer system, and all the stock on a computer system. So it was lots of fun, and then I got out to the road, and being out on the road was so awesome, because I was able to start to understand the clothing trade far more, and just really steal with my eyes out there, selling the zips and the threads to the clothing factories, and start to understand the manufacture of clothing. It was really an awesome venture, and one of the things that I did learn, and I still do today, guys, is stealing with your eyes, stealing with your ears, because there's always other people out there that are better than you, that have done it before you, and that you can learn from, and it can just like shoot and sort of rocket your sort of propel, if I could say, your career forward, if you watch other people who've done things before you, and you apply it to your own life and your own adventure. And that's also one of the things that I want to do through this series for you guys that are new to promo branding, new to clothing and headwear decoration, new to this trade, and you possibly are looking to start this sort of a business. I could be some sort of a guy who you can listen to and just get some tips and tricks on how to do these sort of things. And then obviously, which is quite dear to my heart, is sharing information and sharing the journey, and sharing, and just being some sort of a motivation and encouragement for people that are coming up and are new to this trade, or possibly have been in it for a few years and are finding that they're struggling to generate work and just stay motivated, and hopefully I can be some sort of a source of motivation. So getting back to the story, on the road as a rep selling zips, and not only getting into the clothing factories, but I was also going into other promotional companies selling zips, because they would also do manufacturing. Okay, there was one specific promotional company. I hope they don't mind me using their name, but they are still they're still running today, and their name is Point Line Promotions. And I would go in there often with my zips, and I started to get a feel to the promotional trade and what promotional companies do within promotional and corporate branding. So again, stealing with my eyes, just finding out what people do, and not letting this thing of being out in the road be something I do just, I just do, over and over and over again, but something where I'm actually learning from my experience and gaining knowledge. At that time, I didn't think that I would be starting my own business. I did not have that in mind. It was not a thought at all for me. But always I knew that, to grow as a person, as a salesman, as a person that's in a business, and at that time possibly taking over a business, that I would need to learn and steal with my eyes. And that was really my mission in life, really, was to learn at that stage. And I was obviously being groomed to take over the company at that stage, and I had no thought in my mind of starting my own business. But here we are today, many years later. What a good 20 years later. If you think back then, 2004, 2005, 2006, a good 15, 16, 17 years later, and I'm running my own business. Things have changed, and things did change so much for me. We ended up going through a hell of a bad time around about 2008. We had the recession here in South Africa, and we were really struggling to stay afloat, and we ended up having to liquidate the business in 2010. We had no choice. We just took too many knocks with liquidations in the clothing trade. Guys taking us for 50, 100, 200, 250k accounts would just go, and they would liquidate, and we would have to take the knock. So we ended up having to liquidate the business in 2010, and that's really how my life just took a complete another trajectory, and it was such a shock, because I was really being groomed to take over the business, and but life hits you with these curveballs, but you can't get yourself down. You got to keep on moving, you got to keep on going, and you got to keep on reinventing yourself if you need to, and reevaluating and pushing forward. You cannot stay stagnant. You cannot stay in one place and just mope around, because I've got to be honest, guys, there was definitely a lot of moping, and I have had moping in the past. Even with this business now, I have had moping. I'm not always that positive and that sort of motivated and just get going and make this thing work. Guys, it does. There's days where I feel like, oh no, man, what now? Why is this not working? I've had a lot of those times. Why is this not working? But you can't look at your initial situation. You got to keep to your goal and your vision for your business and for what you want to do, and you also want to look at the little increments that you are making along the way to motivate you as well. Even if it's small stuff, just you can say, you know what, I've had it. Yesterday I didn't have that. I didn't do that. Today I'm doing this. I've increased this, and looking at the small things that you're increasing. So that is my first episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, it's going to be a nice short, sort of short. We've got a 20 minutes here. We're on the 20-minute clock. And we are coming through Moreton area, and I'm just about to hit Pardon Island and get to my office in Maitland. But that is the back end of my journey, with starting off with my dad at his company Hot Straps, and how I started out there, and then obviously we were just liquidated in 2010. But my story will continue tomorrow, guys, and let me know what you think of the first episode. Let me know what you think. Pop the video a like if you like my start off. If you got any comments, I'd love to hear what you guys think. See you guys tomorrow, carrying on this conversation all about promo branding, corporate branding, clothing and headwear decoration, and getting some nice insights using my story along the way. Till tomorrow, guys, I'll check you. This is your CPT promo guy, and I hope you guys have an awesome Monday. Cheers.